Hello, friends and fellow lovers of all things beachy. Welcome to The Beach Speaks, the podcast that shares stories about the beach and our connection to it. I'm your host and beach lover, Paige Friend, helping you reconnect with the beach, return to your soul, and reimagine your life. So grab a cool drink, relax in your beach chair, stick your toes in the sand, and enjoy this episode of The Beach Speaks. Hey, beach lover. This is my first episode in, over a month. And oh, what a month it has been. You know, there's a theory in podcasting that to have a successful show, one must publish consistently, which for me is twice a month. And if you miss a few weeks, the almighty algorithm, no one can figure out, will pick up on the lapse and be slower to promote your show, and then listeners will forget and they'll just go on to something else. And I think most indie podcasters like me would agree our worst nightmare is that our audience that we work so hard to grow will one day lose interest and just move on. It's an irrational fear, I know, because you're my beach people. You love the beach and I love you. And you're going to want to stick with me to the end of this episode because I have a little something for you. This time last month, we were boarding an American Airlines flight to Italy, the start of a 14-day trip exploring Venice, Florence, Siena, Sorrento, Capri, and Rome. And as I was settling into my comfy coach seat in the very last row of the Boeing Dreamliner, only 2 seats instead of 3, plenty of room to stretch out, not next to the bathroom, thank goodness. I decided to push that fear of podcast abandonment aside, telling myself, just enjoy Italy. The podcast and the beach will be there when you get back. And oh, what a fabulous trip we had. Touring the historic sites, relaxing in the Tuscan's countryside, savoring the delicious food. We even made it to the beach. Bellissimo. But the day we got back from Italy, I immediately came down with a flu. Not COVID, thank goodness, but it really knocked me out. And although I had something pre-recorded that all I needed to do was some editing, I really didn't have the energy or wherewithal to do anything. So another podcast delay, and then another, because a Cat 4 hurricane named Helene decided to pay a very unwelcome visit. And as I'm sure you've heard by now, carving a path of mass destruction from the Gulf Coast of Florida on up through Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. It was devastating. Ironically, the episode I intended to share a month ago was about hurricanes. It was a conversation that I had with a previous podcast guest, Oniki, who lives in Jamaica, which at the time had just gone through a catastrophic hurricane. And Oniki is one of my favorite guests, and I just needed to hear how he was and how his family was doing. I'll publish that conversation soon, but in the meantime, I'll link the previous episode with Oniki in the show notes. He's a great storyteller. Yeah, man. Now, as for Helene, only the very outer bands reached our home here at Jack's Beach. Rather mild conditions, all things considered. Just a lot of wind and a few tree branches fell, but we had no property damage, no week-long power outages, no flooding. However, our friends and family that live on the Gulf Coast, in the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area where the eye passed over, didn't fare nearly as well. But everyone we know there is safe and sound and starting the long process of cleanup and recovery. Most everyone we know had significant flood damage, and Ernie's nephew lost all his personal possessions when a 7-foot surge of salt water and sand jumped over the seawall and swept across the neighborhood streets, burying cars, uprooting trees, and flooding his house. You know how I talk about the blue mind theory? How being near, in, on, or underwater can make you happier, healthier, and more connected? Well, with the exception of drinking water, no one suffering in the aftermath of this hurricane wants to be in, under, or near any kind of water right now. I was telling my friend Ramona, who lives in the Orlando area, that I felt a little guilty that our beach here, our beach community, was left relatively unscathed. It seems like where we're located here on the Atlantic side in Jacksonville, storms typically roll in, but then they take a turn and get pulled back into the ocean. It's like we live in a beach bubble, safe and protected from all harm. Or maybe we're just lucky. Ramona, who many of you know played a huge part in making my beach dream come true, helped relieve my guilt by reminding me that hurricanes are known to take an unexpected turn. The eye could have very well cut across the state and landed on us. I don't know. Regardless, Mother Nature, Gaia, is sending us a message, and she's not going to stop until we get it. What it is, I'm not really sure. Living near the ocean, or a river, or any body of water, especially our beloved beaches, naturally has risks. And especially in Florida, where hurricanes are abundant. I mean, we even have a season devoted entirely to them. I heard a longtime resident of South Tampa say that never before had they experienced such a devastating storm surge. It was like 120 years ago when an eye of a hurricane went through Tampa Bay. But back then, the community was like 10 houses. Of course, there's been a lot of development since then, and folks who have lived there for generations don't want to move. Knowing that our friends and family are okay is, of course, very comforting, but witnessing the devastation on the beaches there and thinking about people's homes and livelihoods being literally swept away, and now they're recovering bodies, it's absolutely heartbreaking. The beaches there are like my second home, an anchor that holds some of my dearest and precious memories of love and hope and healing. I think about other storms in our lives when something unexpected and tragic happens. The sudden death of a loved one, or the loss of a home, a health diagnosis, whatever it might be that throws us off balance and sends us into the abyss, swirling and toppling in the waves, floundering around, searching for something to tether ourselves to. The other day, I posted a quote on my Facebook page that said, "Life's roughest storms prove the strength of our anchors." I'm not sure where the quote originated, but it really resonated with me because right now I'm feeling a bit untethered. For many here, this hurricane not only loosened their moorings, it literally snapped their lifelines and tore up their foundations. And even the best weather prognosticators say there is no magic method that can be 100% accurate in predicting a hurricane's path, which is why the models look less like straight arrows and more like strands of half-cooked spaghetti. But they do give us a fair amount of warning, time to prepare, and we take it seriously. We gather our supplies, secure our home, and hunker down, or evacuate with our families and pets if conditions are expected to be life-threatening. We know things can be replaced, but lives cannot. It's been almost 2 weeks since the hurricane, and news of the aftermath keeps getting worse. I could feel the connection to my anchor losing its strength, so I woke up early and went to the beach to feel tethered again. The ocean was calm, only 1 or 2 shallow rolling waves. I took off my flip-flops to feel the cool sand on my feet and then waded knee-deep into the water, feeling the gentle push-pull rhythm of the tide. Stretching across the horizon was a wide strip of dark clouds that I prayed wouldn't block the sun. Although I knew 100% it would rise, I wanted the extra blessing to actually see it. That symbol of hope after the storm. Then there was the telltale orange glow pushing the clouds upward like an Olympian weightlifter slowly raising a barbell above their head. And the familiar bright yellow ball of sunlight popped up above the horizon, creating a comforting blanket of warmth on my skin and a trail of sparkles on the tips of the waves. The beach reminded me that our people are resilient. We will find a place to secure our anchors and begin the process of rebuilding, creating new memories on the foundation of our forever home, the beach. It's just what we do. Well, as a thank you for sticking with me to the end of this episode, I have a gift for you. A little beachy token of my appreciation. To get your gift, message me at paige@thebeachspeaks.com with your mailing address, and I'll send it to you via snail mail because you deserve to get something in your mailbox that's not a bill or junk mail. The beach is speaking. Are you listening? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Beach Speaks. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the beachy vibes and share it with a friend. Because, let's be honest, who doesn't want more beach in their lives? And if more beach is what you crave, go to thebeachspeaks.com and sign up for my newsletter. It's an easy way to stay in the know, collect some tips and travel hacks for your next beach adventure, and find out what I'm doing at the beach. And if you want to dive deeper into the ocean of support, consider becoming a Beach Speaks Patreon member. Your contribution helps keep the podcast afloat, and you'll enjoy some cool perks that only our Patreon family gets to enjoy. The beach is speaking. Are you listening?